So what happens when Star Trek trades phasers for fear and Starfleet rules for desperation? In Shuttle to Kenfori, the crew risks everything for one person and ends up facing a threat more terrifying than war. Let's break down how this rescue mission turned into a reckoning. What's up, my know-it-alls? Well, today we're looking at Strange New Worlds Season 3, Episode 3, Shuttle to Kenfori. This one pulls no punches. Pike, M'Benga, a dangerous cure, Klingon vengeance, and some of the creepiest visuals the show has ever given us. Let's walk through it beat by beat and talk about the choices that ultimately made this episode work. The episode opens with Pike and M'Benga flying into forbidden Klingon space alone in a shuttle on an unsanctioned mission. Because Strange New Worlds. I actually really dug this opening. It's very Star Trek in terms of there's a situation. Obviously, the situation has to do with Vitali and the fact that her Gorn cells are coming back. They are coming back stronger than ever, and they have to figure out a solution. So what do? They find out there's this rare flower thing that maybe potentially can have all of the answers that they possibly need, and they ultimately have to find out and figure out how to get her what she needs in order to survive. Yeah, so what could possibly go wrong? So right off the bat, we see Pike at his most personal. This isn't about duty, it's about her, it's about Vitali. He's risking war, command, and his own life for her. It's love and guilt wrapped into action. Pike's romanticism is usually idealistic, but here it comes across as reckless. He's not thinking like a captain. He's thinking like someone who's scared of watching the person he loves die. You don't get much more personal than that. While dodging asteroids, there's a Klingon signature that isn't supposed to be there. They find it as some sort of a communications buoy. It also could be a warning specifically about landmines or space mines rather, a holdover from the war, that kind of thing. So they land near an abandoned research station and we quickly realize something's wrong. The team that used to be here, they're dead, which we already knew they should be gone. Some partially decomposed, some, they're still twitching inside the base. That's when things get really grim fast. The walls are scorched, supplies are looted, and there's a whole lot of evidence of something moss-based that seems to be infecting everyone, causing them to have extreme hunger and madness. This is where the horror tone kicks in. This isn't just a sickbay gone wrong. This is Trek meets aliens. No transporters, no scans, and worst of all, no one knows that they're there. As if that wasn't enough, a rogue Klingon team arrives and their leader, Bisa, daughter of Ambassador Dakra, the Klingon killed by M'Benga in Season 2. Oh yeah, it's her. The moment she appears, the tension, it shifts. Her grievance is deeply personal and no amount of zombies are going to keep her from her revenge. Bisa blames M'Benga for a betrayal of honor. It's a callback to the trauma M'Benga's been carrying in silence since Season 2, and now that past has arrived with a Dak Tog. That's the Klingon knifey thing. Trapped, wounded, and now surrounded, the survivors hunker down in an old research facility. Specifically, they have to get up onto the roof because that's where there's a communications array that they may be able to use in order to signal the Enterprise or potentially her shuttle, Bisa's shuttle, but that's also where the duel has to happen. Oh yeah, right in the middle of all this zombie fighting, there's a duel. For me, the actual very deep part was that there's a reveal. The station was experimenting with genetically engineered moss in order to feed populations. Sounds reasonable. It backfired and caused neurological collapse. Klingons, humans, and other species were infected with the moss, became ravenous, aggressive, and ultimately brain dead. Hence why no life signs. M'Benga diagnoses the infection while bleeding himself, and discovers that these reanimated beings don't register as life forms. Classic Trek loophole, total horror twist. Biological fungus zombies feels like a nod to The Last of Us. It's a completely practical thing that The Last of Us uses to great advantage, and Trek does a pretty good job of co-opting that potential storyline, but the lift is noticeable. The zombies don't ping on sensors, which explains why no rescue came. This isn't sci-fi fantasy, this is pure nightmare fuel. So what happens when you're stuck on the roof surrounded by zombies? Well, of course, Bisa demands Makto, which is trial by combat.
Joseph, don't do this.
Find your way off this forsaken planet and get the flower to Vitali.
There has to be another way.
Enough! It is time for one of us to die.
I am ready to face my destiny. Are you?
But what else are you gonna do? It's one of the tensest knife fights we think we've had in Trek. It's very raw, personal, and ultimately fueled by pain. It's also one of the goofiest, do we have time for this moments that I think I've ever seen in a show. The whole time I'm watching this thing, I'm like, we're gonna do this? Like, this is what we're doing? Seriously? Okay. But M'Benga wins, and so what does he do? He spares her life.
No! You cannot forfeit!
Too late. I do not need the monster today.
That moment lands. Bisa expects death. Instead, she gets compassion. True honor. Shouldn't see it that way, but this is M'Benga's turning point. He finally stops hiding behind the past and acts on his own code, that mercy speaks louder than any strike. Or as he says, I don't need the monster today. Back in orbit, Ortegas is insubordinate. That's the nice, polite way of saying it. But brilliant. She proposed an atmospheric warp maneuver to beam them out. Number one had gone a different route, but Ortegas gave her no choice and pushed her hand in order to provoke her into having to act. Number one is, suffices to say, furious, but this is the second time Ortegas has taken wild risks for the people she loves. She's not okay, especially after the Gorn, and that's going to come back. This was a mini character arc for Ortegas. We're watching her bend protocol more and more, and eventually, she's going to snap. I'm convinced we're going to lose her, eventually, which would ultimately pave the way for Sulu. The scene with Vitali and Pike at the very end when they're talking, this scene is the emotional gut punch. Pike saved her life, but he didn't trust her choice. It's a betrayal dressed as love. So, what do you think? Was Pike right to do whatever it took to save Vitali, or did he cross a line? Let me know in the comments below. Smash that like and subscribe button if the knife duel had you holding your breath, and ultimately make sure to subscribe and ring the bell for more weekly Trek recaps just like this. All right, so here's my theory. This is exactly how I believe we eventually are going to get the human-Gorn hybrid that we see later in TOS. Oh yeah, mark my words. Something's going to happen. It's a continuing on thread, and what we're going to end up seeing is Vitali's going to end up having to go full hybrid. And whether she leaves, steals a shuttle, because that's a thing that happens in Star Trek all the time, and goes off to Gorn space to become a new Gorn hybrid queen, who knows? So there you go, now you know, and knowing is half the battle. You are halfway to being a know-it-all yourself. What is the know-it-all index for this episode? Season 3, Episode 3, Shuttle to Kenfori. All right, well, it's top-tier horror, absolutely. Emotionally complex, gorgeously shot. The episode asks big questions, but Vitali's perspective could have had more weight throughout, as far as I'm concerned, especially given the show's runtime. So for me, that's going to put it square at an 8.5 out of 10. What did you think? Do you think I'm wrong? Do you think I'm right? Do you agree? Do you think Vitali should have thought better of it? Do you see this coming where I think it's going? Also, did you notice how Scotty got a little bit of runtime all by himself because Pelly doesn't like meetings, so she left him to it? Yeah, so did I. Let's talk more about it in the comments below, guys. And until next time, never forget, everyone loves a know-it-all. Talk to you later. Bye.